a firm believer that progress doesn't happen linearly, but in sprints. And I think that you can change your business and your financial future in as little as 5 days. And so to prove it, in about 30 minutes, I'm gonna be starting this process for over 100 people on Zoom and also doing it for myself. And I genuinely think that this can be the biggest week that my business has ever had, the biggest leap forward that we've ever made, but it's gonna take a few things going right to pull it off. I know there are a lot of people out there who their business is teaching people how to grow business, or like their content is about how to grow content. And I think all of those things are helpful, but I think the lessons that you get from actually running a business, that's not just about running a business, if that makes sense, are super, super valuable. And so for me, I have a YouTube agency, which we look at as business owners have like their business engine. They have all their business operations. And then on top of that, they need a content engine in order to attract people to their brand, to nurture people, and to get people to purchase from them. And so my business is running the content engine for dozens of other businesses. And so I'm meeting with my team this morning in order to make sure that they can do all of that without me, not just for this week where I'm running this challenge, but for next week where I'm also going to the Bahamas. So yes, I'm trying to have the biggest week ever in my business while running a new challenge that I've never run before for over 100 people at one time, not running my YouTube agency, and I'm leaving next week, and making sure that after all of this big growth, things just don't fall apart. And it sounds kind of crazy when I say it that way, but I think this is like gonna be the ultimate test in, am I building a business that not just gives me financial freedom, but gives me time and location freedom as well? So if making one of these huge leaps forward in your own progress is something you want to figure out, then I'm going to share the main concept from each of the 5 days of this challenge with you. And if you want to sign up, you can use the link in the top comment, or if you're watching this on your TV, which my analytics say quite a few of you are, you can use your phone to scan this QR code right here. It'll take you to the link and you can reserve your spot. Honestly, as I look through Slack more and more these days, the team really doesn't need me that much. Like, they're crushing. They're doing a great job. So my office was absolutely trashed this morning because I had a pickleball tournament all 3 days of the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Played okay, but we did not get the results we were looking for, unfortunately, but that's all right. Let's talk about big goals and why it feels so hard to do big things. For most people, there is a gap between where we are and where we want to be. If there's not a gap for you, that's cool. I'm glad you're like living, your perfect life. But I feel like for most people, in some category, health, wealth, relationships, and it's very easy inside of that gap for us to have these feelings arise of like overwhelm, anxiety, shame at not closing that gap sooner. Those are not good feelings. And it's really easy to just turn away from them, especially because quick hit dopamine that will distract us from those ideas is very, very easy to come across. Social media, TV, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when I get really stressed, I just go to sleep. Like that's dopamine distraction. And then another crazy one is a new business idea. I very often find like, rather than sitting in the frustration of, hey, this thing in my business isn't working the way I want to, let me go figure it out. It could be really easy to just jump to, oh, here's a new idea, here's a new pivot, here's a new, either completely new idea or something new that we can try that's going to fix all the problems and like make everything perfect. This is the really important breakthrough, and I heard this from Alex Hormozy, but he said he heard it from somewhere else, and so I'm gonna go back and trying to find a video and find out who he heard it from so I can credit that guy. We have to think about the progress we want to make on 3 time options. There's 3 options. If we think about, here's our goal up here, and here's the time that it's gonna take us to get there, and there's some way that we can reach this goal. I put 10K because each and every one of you are gonna make 10K. You might make 10K over the next year with this line number 1, this long horizon. Give me a thumbs up if you're confident you'll make 10K over the next year. Right, okay. Most of us are confident we're gonna make 10K over the next year. So it's actually not about the goal. It's about the timing. Most of us are looking for a way, and yeah, I mean 10K or more, right? Thumbs up, 10K or more. I don't mean just 10K because I don't know where you guys would be living if you were living off of 10K. But 10K or more, you're like, yes, I'm going to hit that in the next year. So it's not about the goal. It's about the time that we give ourselves to reach the goal. And most of us give ourselves far too much time because we say, yeah, this year, a year's a long time, 2026, right? In the next 5 years, I'm gonna reach this goal. And there's a mismatch between, we wanna reach the goal, but we're giving ourselves far too much time to get there. And by the time we would get there, that goal is not that significant. Most of you would not be celebrating and saying that you made a ton of progress if you made 10K or more, or if you made 10K in the next year. You feel like, yeah, that's what I was supposed to do. Across that time, that goal is not significant. But let's say this was Let's say timeline number 2 is a month. Give me a thumbs up if you'd be happy to make 10K in the next month. I would be. Especially if it came with some of those freedoms we talked about. Time freedom, location freedom. If you had a 10K month with time freedom and location freedom, give me a thumbs up if you'd be happy about that. Okay, so now we're seeing that it's not just about the number, it's not just about the goal, it's about the time that it takes us to get there, and it's about the way that we get there. Because if you have to work 100-hour weeks over the next month to make 10K, it's not gonna be as valuable if you work 4-hour weeks. Is this helpful? Is this valuable? Give me a nod if it is. Okay, then what if you made 10K today? Thumbs up if that would be a win. 2 thumbs up, right? So again, it's not the goal, it's the time that we get there, and it's the way that we get there. So how do we do it? Those timings are matched to a certain animal. So like the long time horizon is like a puppy. They are house trained. They will only eat the food that's like most pleasing to them. If they don't like the food, they'll turn up their nose at it. It stinks to say, a house-trained dog will starve to death if no one feeds it. Like, it will not just like take to the streets and make it happen no matter what. Like the golden doodle is just, it's not a street dog, right? That's a long time horizon. Only when things are perfect, when the fire is warm and the belly rubs are hitting, is it good enough. That's the only time where it's good enough. Then there's that middle time horizon, and this is like horse timing. A horse will just like graze, eat grass, might, trot slowly. But then if a horse has a jockey on its back and that jockey is whipping it, it's in a race, it's in pain, then it will sprint full out. But the moment that jockey stops whipping it, it'll slow down. And this is often like when we have those feelings of guilt or shame, or when our boss won't let us do something that we need to do. Or like for me personally, my brother got sick a little while ago. He got cancer. Unexpectedly, my whole family moved down to cancer center to be there with him through multiple rounds of chemo and all of this stuff. And there's a lot of pain there that really kicked my butt into action in order to make sure that we could live a financially free life that wasn't about the vacations and about money, but was about the ability to show up for family when they need us and not have to say, I'm sorry, I can't go to this cancer ward with you to support you because I have to work. My boss won't give me the time off, right? Like that's being driven by pain, and it's powerful, but when that pain is removed, so is the effort slows down. But then there's a tiger, and tiger timing is crazy because a tiger will go through the jungle, it'll stalk a deer, it will pounce, eat that entire deer. And then as it's laying there, if another deer walks by, it's gonna pounce again. And if you don't think that's true, would you go into a tiger enclosure after it just ate? No, because tiger timing is like now. It must happen now, no matter the external circumstances. Like I am going after it. And that's the type of energy that I'm gonna have during these 5 days that I want everybody who's attending the challenge to have, because it not just gets us to our goal, but it gets us there in a time horizon. It shrinks the time horizon. And that's what actually matters. It's not about the destination. It's about how quickly can we get there within reason? How quickly can we make big leaps of progress? So that said, I got 15 minutes. Let's see how many people show up. All right. We did it. I think we had about 130 people signed up and about 40 showed up live. So that is a 31% show rate, which I think is pretty good. I think I've heard people talk about like 30 to 40% show rates. Because we took signups for this all month, I know that there's some people who signed up at the beginning of the month who were less excited or forgot about it. So we tried to like keep the reminders going and keep it top of mind. But with that show rate, I think I'm pretty happy with that. And I shared this right here, which is a screenshot of 2 lectures that Harvard posted on their advanced algorithms for computer science class. And they're both videos are an hour and a half. The first lecture had 18 million views, and the second lecture had 976,000 views, which is just 5% of the people that attended the first one watched the second one. And I talked about this idea of if you just show up consistently, you will beat out 95% of people, because 95% of people won't even show up to the next step. And so I'm really excited to see like how much that resonated, and if there's going to be like what that drop off from day to day is going to be throughout the challenge. But I truly believe that the staying power to just do something for an hour or 2 hours a day for 5 days is a prerequisite to building a financially free life through a business of your own. 10 hours is like, it's gonna take way more than 10 hours. And so like showing up for yourself for those 10 hours, I think is just a sign that like you're gonna be able to show up for yourself throughout the rest of it as well. All right, let's grab our Rubiks Cube and take a walk.
And that's what I'm trying to figure out. Who is my real niche?
I think that what we have today is going to be helpful for a lot of those things. And then just so that you kind of, what's our next step? So after today, gathering this information from you, then we can kind of take the next step into identifying those video ideas like we talked about. Like, what are those core video ideas that are all gonna appeal to that right person? Yes. Identifying those, and then going in and starting to set up like the process that people can move through, not just from finding you on YouTube, but also on the business side as well.
Yes.
So the team is working in Zoom. Different editors from different time zones are checking in. And I'm about to go take a cubing and thinking walk. Sometimes I feel like when the team is working, I should be just like in there grinding, working too. But I started to split my time into manager and maker time. And manager time is often like on the laptop, grinding away in Slack, in client accounts, things of that nature. Everyone right now is doing manager time. They're kind of managing their own tasks versus I'm the only one that can do maker time, which is like making content that brings us in clients and thinking about new ideas or developing what Daniel Priestley calls your personal IP. Personal IP is this idea that we can go out, we can consume a lot of information, we can have experiences, but what makes our products and services unique and what makes them appealing to like our ideal clients is our personal IP, how we transform those things into a process, into a perspective, and into, you know, an end result that somebody is willing to pay for. And so I find that walking, journaling, and making content are great ways for me to develop my personal IP. And that's something I'm talking about in day 2 of the challenge, because it's all about this clarity to cash formula. And you only have clarity if you kind of work through all of the different ideas in your brain to create a process that takes someone from one state to an end state that they determine is valuable enough to pay for. And that only happens if you develop your personal IP sufficiently. So let's go.
Any business, any exchange is always going to be a loop between someone giving up their assets, their time, their attention, their money, energy for value in return. Whether you are creating art for someone, they're giving assets to receive that value. Whether you are doing social media management for someone, their assets, your value. Whether you are doing business coaching, whether you are doing accounting, no matter what it is, you're making this exchange. But the way that this exchange goes well is when you take some of your assets to start and you invest, which a lot of times people will say spend, but I choose to say invest because an investment has a return. A spend means it's gone, but an investment has a return. And the return after you make this investment is that your value is increased. And that is what people spend their assets for, right? So people spend their assets to get your value and their assets become your assets, which in turn you can then invest more to continue the cycle and continue the loop. And as long as you are giving more value than you are asking for in terms of your customers or your clients' assets, then that's when they have a happy result. That's why it's an investment. If I spend $10,000 on Bitcoin, which may seem like a lot of money, but it makes me $11.7 million, yeah, I'm happy to make that investment all day long, as long as I am getting more value than I put in. The problem comes when we don't invest in making ourselves more valuable. And it breaks the cycle because now we're not investing in ourselves. We're not raising our value. As our value is decreasing, no one is willing to pay their assets for it. And therefore nothing is flowing back to us. And if this is something that you're not doing, if you're not actively investing in yourself, not only will this cycle happen in real life, but there also becomes like a subconscious element to this where you don't feel comfortable asking people for their assets because you're not sure that you're offering enough value in return. And so that's why we lack conviction, because we say, yeah, if you want to work with me, maybe, you know, like we can't even explain it in a way that tells someone, yeah, this is, give me $10,000, you'll get 11.7 million in return. Like that's conviction. That's Bitcoin level conviction. And I know we're not talking on those numbers, but I want you to feel the difference between that level of conviction and what happens when we're not investing in ourselves and we're not confident that we're offering enough value. This is what we want it to look like.
That is day 3 in the books. It went really well. Got a lot of great feedback. I have a YouTube video coming out in like 13 15 minutes, one of my friends texted me asking if I could fill in for them playing pickleball. And so I'm about to run over there and play just because I don't know if there's gonna be much pickleball in the Bahamas. But I promised myself that I would not run out of YouTube videos to post for the rest of the year. And this is my last one in the queue that I'm posting right now. And so I need to go play and then come back and film so that while I'm in the Bahamas and while I'm doing my thing, I can stick with that. I always have another YouTube video up next. Sorry, my brain is fried. So what?
Okay. No, it was actually a question, so I was just thinking about it. So you're giving everybody, thank you so much. It was very much. Sound great session, by the way, today.
Yeah, I think people really like this one. I'm gonna see what I can do to move some of this content earlier in the week, if it would like still make sense. But yeah, I was definitely glad with the feedback. All right, let's go play. I hit myself in the head on that shot.
All right, home and back to work. I'm really excited about how the challenge is going so far. Got a ton of positive reviews, video testimonials that if you go to the site because you want to check out the challenge, you can go see what people are saying about it. But as much as I would have liked that to be the end of my workday and continue playing pickleball, I'm back home to kind of practice what I preach. That's 2 videos filmed, about 20 short form edits approved or given notes to, and I posted a bunch of the testimonials from this week's challenge that are already rolling in. I posted them to the website, and the signups for next week's challenge have already started. So if you want to join us, be sure to go check out the link. It's in the top comment, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for day 4. And when we get into pricing, I really want to make sure that we understand how our pricing allows us to treat entrepreneurship as a team sport. Because if we follow these kind of profit first percentages of where every dollar should go, 5% of every dollar going into profit, paying ourselves first for owning the business, 50% going into the work that we're putting into the business, 30% going into our operating expenses, which is going to include the people that we need to help us on our team, and 15% going into our taxes. If we can make sure that we're following this system, but it's really important that you understand that this is what allows you to hire someone right from the beginning to help you, which is what allows you to quickly grow and get faster. So even though we have those weekly huddles, as someone who's building a small team, I feel like a key part of my job is to set the culture. And one of the things that we've started to do is public celebrations. And so on Fridays, when we have our team meeting, we celebrate each other both for things that maybe everyone in the group saw, but also if 2 people are working on something and the rest of the group didn't see it, then it's an opportunity for them to, just let the entire team know how well things are going and how hard people are working. And then I also like to go through and look back at some of the top content pieces for the week and record a loom sharing like what really set it apart or the extra effort that somebody went to. And then I share that with that person, but I also share it in our celebrations channel so everybody can see, what does going above and beyond look like. Hoba, this is so sick. You absolutely crushed on this. The music choice is perfect. I also love some of the effects that you used like in the in-betweens. Hey. One of the things that I love about entrepreneurship is not just and I'm going off on a little tangent here, but y'all spent all week with me, so it's fine. It's not just like the ability to create financial freedom for ourselves and our families. I think that's like the entry point of like why I got interested in it and why I started to share that message. I'm like, okay, I'm seeing the benefits of getting to create more time, location, and financial freedom in my life. I want other people to be able to create that in their lives. That's level 1. But I think the larger impact is we all see a million crazy things going on in the world around us. And the impact that we can have as entrepreneurs, as people who our daily focus is bringing value into the world, whether it's through teaching people a skill, producing art, helping people to raise happier, healthier kids, whatever it is, an entrepreneur's focus is bringing value into the world. And so as we build up a community of people who are focused on making the world a better place, that is a powerful, powerful movement because we cannot depend on the powers that be to have that focus of making the world a better place and bringing more value into it. And so if we can collectively all have that as our mindset and help each other to do better at that, not only do our lives get better, but I think the world becomes a better place as well. And that's something I've discovered on my entrepreneurship journey that I didn't see at the very beginning. It's like, oh yeah, it's just about the money and about like waking up later and, going to the beach. But I think what it really comes down to is our job as entrepreneurs is to bring value into the world. And the more we can do that and the more we can build a community that does that, the better that everyone is off. So I appreciate you guys for being on that journey and like building that momentum with me.
Honestly, I got caught up in vacation life and forgot to film an outro. But my biggest takeaway of the week, what I'm gonna go home and work on, and what hopefully you guys will work on, is building a business that makes you money while you're out here enjoying life.